you so much for coming back to the Gritty Business Podcast. My name is Matt Moline. In the hot seat, I got Karen Smith. Karen, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Matt. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm the Executive Director for Leadership Macomb. I've been in this role for 17 years.
17 years. It's quite a bit of time.
It's a long time, yes.
So what do you do over there at Leadership Macomb?
Well, Leadership Macomb has been around since 1996, and it is a nonprofit organization that is the only organization that educates people in the community about the assets and issues in Macomb County. So we basically recruit a class of about 50 individuals each year, all from different industries, mostly higher level business people, from banking, manufacturing, small business owners, healthcare, education. And our program runs like the school year. It starts in September and ends in June. And during that time, our class meets for 11 full day sessions. And each of our sessions focuses on a different topic relevant to Macomb County. So we have an education day session, a government day, justice, environment. And on those days, we do kind of a lot of field trips, behind the scenes, experiential learning. We have expert speakers, panel discussions. And the goal is that at the end of the 10 months, the people not only get to know each other, get to see things from different lenses, but also learn a whole lot about the county. And, you don't know what you don't know. So knowledge is a really good thing. A lot of the people that go through our program end up getting involved in the community. That's our goal, that they get involved and help to do something that makes Macomb County a better place to live, work, do business, play. So a lot of them will end up joining boards or getting involved in their neighborhoods or just something to make it a better place.
No, that's awesome. What you said it's a class, and to get into that, can anybody sign up? Or are you guys specifically looking for specific individuals? Is there like an interview process? What does that look like? Like, how do you even get to possibly be selected to be a part of the group?
Well, I would encourage anybody to apply. It's for anybody that lives or does business in Macomb County, works in Macomb County.
Okay.
So we have people from Oakland County that may work in Macomb County. We have people that live and work in Macomb County. It's important to know that there are nationwide about 300 organizations like ours, and we each focus on our own little geographic area. So ours focuses on Macomb County, and anyone can apply. It is a tuition-based program. So we charge a tuition to go through the program. The employers most often pay. We offer scholarships for people from smaller organizations or nonprofit organizations that may not have a training budget. So anybody can apply. Our applications are on our website, and you can apply that way. And then we try to make our classes as diverse as possible, both in terms of just backgrounds and organizations represented, and just experiences of participants to make it the richest experience it can be for the participants in the class. In other words, we don't want 10 people from one organization, so we try to limit it. So so we always have people from DTE, Consumers, Plant Moran, Walsh College, Macomb Community College, Henry Ford Health System, McLaren, Beaumont, credit unions, small business owners, nonprofits like Turning Point or Care of Southeast Michigan. So it's a good mixture of people. And then we have government people. Our county executive is a big advocate of our program, so he always sends people from his department or from the county through our program, Sheriff's Department, and Planning and Economic Development. So it's a really good mixture of people, and it's an excellent opportunity. If anyone wants to meet people in the community, this is the opportunity, because you will meet like everybody.
Yeah, so. I was going to say, it sounds like a great opportunity to network and like you said, to meet many just people doing the same type of thing, pretty much, right? Yeah. So other business owners, things like that. What types of things do you guys teach in the class? What are some of the, is there like a specific initiatives you guys are doing? Does it vary every year? What
Well,
does that look like?
That's a great question. Our topics stay the same from year to year.
Okay.
So we always have an environment day, we always have a justice day, we always have an education day, because we're trying to factor in all the systems that make up a community. So, however, the agendas for those days varies from year to year to focus on whatever's the most relevant thing. So, this past year we had a big election, so of course we were focusing our government day a little differently than we will next year.
Right.
Same with education. There's always new initiatives. Justice Day, there's new initiatives. There's new ways of doing business. COVID was a great example. Prior to COVID, all of the court cases were in person, and then COVID forced the justice system to look at different ways of doing things. So they do a lot of their hearings and ticket violations and stuff like that online now. So it's a little bit more efficient, but we try to capture all that and expose our participants to whatever's the most relevant for that particular system in the county.
Gotcha. So 17 years you've been doing this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got some stories.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Call them success stories,
Yeah.
milestones, things like that. Is there any particular one that sticks out to you?
There are. We also have. I think my favorite story is that 13 years ago, I was hired in to kind of grow the organization. 17 years ago, I was in healthcare at the time. I was the director of marketing and public relations for one of the local hospitals. And I was in the Leadership Macomb program. I was in class 10. Now we're on class 27. And at the time, they had a part-time executive director. And she was leaving, and they wanted to hire someone that would help grow the organization. I happened to be displaced from my job because there were a lot of mergers going on in healthcare at the time, and I was devastated. And I loved the Leadership Macomb program. I loved it, loved it, loved it. So the executive director said, "Why don't you apply and go through the process?" So I did, and I was hired. And I thought, I'll probably stay here, a couple of years. And it's been 17, but
just a few extra years on top of that.
Yeah, I didn't have any gray hair when I started. And then, and so we did grow it. We grew it in terms of class size and sponsorships and organizations that participate, and just the changes that have occurred over those 17 years. And of course, Grit's been a part of that, because when I started, we just had our very first website. Technology wasn't even that important back then. So now, of course, we have a website and social media presence and all that. But my favorite story is that 12 years ago, our graduating class took up a collection and gave us a check. I think the check was for like $4,300 or something. And they wanted us to start a program for young people, because they thought that a lot of the things that they experienced and were exposed to would be really beneficial to younger people. So we got that check in June, and by September, we got the check in June, and by September we had a junior program started, and which is monumental. That's a really quick turnaround.
Yeah.
We had to get buy-in from 21 school districts. We had a lot of people helping us plan curriculum and figure out how this junior program would work. And the program's been going on for 13 years now, and it's just been amazing. And the goal of that program is to help prepare kids for life after high school.
Yeah.
So they get to see and meet a lot of the people that our core program participants experience.
Okay.
But they also have career navigation. We do financial literacy. We do mock interviews. We do resume writing. We do job shadowing. We were doing business etiquette for a while. All the things that they're not getting in school, we're trying to help them. And then we serve as a resource to those kids. It's basically a free program for all kids entering their junior year, public, private, charter, homeschool. Our minimum grade point average is 2.0. We believe that leadership is intrinsic. It doesn't really necessarily, it's not necessarily a reflection of your grades. We've had some kids that had lower grade point averages that are the best leaders and really ended up being successful. So we do that, and there's just a lot of stories from there too, and from our adult class. So
there was obviously a gap somewhere in there to start that program. What was the initiative? Like what was being seen, and why did you guys want to get in there and fill that gap?
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's over 300 leadership programs throughout the country. Most of them are just for adults. It's a way to teach adults. And our community felt like we needed to do something for the young people to maybe help eliminate the brain drain. Yeah. Maybe show them that Macomb County is a pretty cool place. You don't have to finish high school and then go to college or trade school or whatever your path is, and then move to Chicago or New York or whatever the cool city is. We've got a lot of cool things here. So we wanted to be able to showcase that and get them excited about opportunities here. Show them all the different jobs that are available. And we've had really great success. So we surveyed kids 5 years after they went through our program, and 100% of them had finished high school and finished either college or trade school or joined the military. We have a few that are in the military. Wow. And of those, 85% of them moved back to Michigan, to Macomb County, after they finished their education. Wow. And there's a pretty high percentage that are working in Macomb County, but even if they're not working in the county, they're living here, so they're contributing economically. And the residence is in Macomb. Yeah. It's pretty good numbers. It's pretty good success rate that's behind that. Yeah. What would you say is, kind of talk about the program, like what is a draw for a lot of people to get into this organization? It's a really good way to network, but more importantly, it's a good way to learn what's going on in the county. You don't know what you don't know. And so people that say are in healthcare, and that's their whole life, they go through our program, and I guarantee you they will learn something new about healthcare. We've had lawyers that have gone through our program, and they're like, I don't need the Justice Day, I'm a lawyer. They go through the program, they're like, oh my goodness, I learned so much, I didn't know that, or I didn't know this. So I think it's just learning, because you don't know what you don't know. So people are always learning. We do a pre and post survey. So we survey all of our participants before they go through the program and say, okay, well, how do you feel about your knowledge level of environment in Macomb County or whatever our topic is? And then we do it after the program. And the knowledge level goes from like a 2.2 on a 5-point scale to a 4.7, which is great. So before they, don't know that much, and afterwards they're pretty darn confident in their knowledge level. Yeah. And I think the biggest takeaway that people get is not only the new friends and networking group, but the collaborations that result from this. Stuff you wouldn't even think of.
Give us some examples of that. What is some stuff that we've seen?
Yeah, there's just things you wouldn't even imagine. Like, for instance, one of our sessions is Justice Day. We tour the jail. We tour the juvenile justice facility, and we had a young man in our class, and he was into the arts, and so he was able to form a relationship with the juvenile center, and he worked with the incarcerated kids in there to do a mural on the wall in the cafeteria that kind of showed their journey from being incarcerated to going through that and then coming out on the other end a better person. Yeah. So they did this whole mural. You wouldn't even, you wouldn't think of that. We had another example of, we had the lady that was in charge of the teaching program at Oakland University. And we toured Starbase, which is a STEM program at Selfridge. And she was able to make connections there so that her teaching students could actually teach at Starbase during their education. So they were able to get some real life teaching experience. And it's just all these connections that you might not even think of. And I think the beauty is that, if you're in healthcare or if you're in banking or education, that's kind of your focus, and you're in that silo. When you go through a program like ours, you're forced to see things from different lenses, and you meet people from all different areas.
Yeah.
So you see things in many, many different ways, and that is such a valuable tool and experience for people.
So you're really collaborating with a bunch of other different verticals that are out there, whether it be manufacturing, healthcare, retail, whatever.
Absolutely.
You've obviously worked with all of them at
Yes.
some point or other. Is there one that sticks out as the most interesting for you?
Oh gosh, I've been doing this 17 years, and
Yeah.
I still learn something every single session because it's always something new.
Mm-hmm.
And it's seeing a manufacturing facility. A lot of people don't have an opportunity to go into a manufacturing facility and see it.
Right.
We've got to tour the Sterling Heights assembly plant and see that, and we've got just so many different things that just are really enlightening. One year we did a white coat tour at one of the health centers, so we got to see kind of behind the scenes some of their robotics that they're using in surgeries and things that most people wouldn't have an opportunity to see. So I don't have a favorite. Every day is a favorite. So.
I would agree with that. I think that's one similar thing that you and I have is because, we work with tons of different verticals. Like we're not like specific working with healthcare or legal, like we do all of those.
Right.
But like one day we'll be talking with a law firm, and be dressed to the nines. And then the next day we'll be hanging out, talking about a server at a construction company, or in the back area of a, manufacturing, facility of some type, or then be in the aisles at a retail, place and, things like that. So it definitely keeps things exciting. I would agree that having the ability to go talk with all those different businesses, see, the different things that go into making them successful is very fascinating. So, I mean, you obviously have 17 years of, experience doing that. That's pretty cool. Speaking of all of those verticals and, obviously seeing success in all of those areas, I would feel there are some common things that people are doing or areas that are driving success for them across the board. You're a unique individual that has that experience, so I think you would be a good resource to maybe understand, there's common elements no matter where you go that is going to make you successful. What have you seen? What would you say are some of the key successes or successful things to make you? Yeah.
I think the biggest factor is having an open mind. I think if you have an open mind and are willing to just kind of listen and learn about things, it helps you to be a better leader. I think kindness is so, underrated. You need to be kind. That's just the bottom line. Everybody should be kind and respectful. And I think we see that in our classes too, even though some of the things that we may cover may be a little bit controversial. We don't take a side one way or another. We just present the information. And we would hope that the people would, they're adults, they're business people, they can make their own decisions. But I think having an open mind, not having tunnel vision, being kind, being respectful, listening those are the main components, I think, to being successful.
Yeah, so keep an open mind, being teachable, right? Not leave your ego at the door.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. And I think even the underrated piece of just kindness, some of the most successful people that I've encountered being, we work with a lot of businesses and we work with a lot of successful businesses. I can tell you just the kindness that comes from a leader, in that area, there's definitely something to it, there might be a larger business out there, doesn't mean they're necessarily successful. And I've, met people that weren't the nicest either, but they're also not doing as well. I think that's definitely a key piece to that. What maybe are some new things or new initiatives or new things on the horizon that's kind of coming up with with you guys? Is there anything new for as we get into the end of year? As it's recording, we're at the end of 2024. We're going into 2025.
Mm-hmm.
What are maybe some new things out there that are exciting for you? I'd love to hear what's. It's always changing, right? So there's got to be some new stuff coming up.
It's always changing, and it's always, we couldn't do what we do. We have a very small staff. There's just me and a coworker and a work study student, and we have a very, very great big group of volunteers that help us. And when I say volunteers, they're all professional people. Yeah. So they might be experts in one of the fields that we cover. So we have healthcare experts and environmental experts and justice experts and government experts. So those people help us plan our sessions. And so we kind of look forward to the next year and say, okay, what's changed? What's going to be coming up this year? And of course, with a new president, I think next year will look a lot different than some of the things we covered this year. So how will that affect business? What about the EV mandate? Are we still going to be doing that? What about the tariffs? How's that going to affect businesses? The new wage laws, how's that going to affect businesses? So we try to incorporate that, and the way we do it is because we have all these experts that know I cannot possibly know everything about everything. So thank goodness we have these people that help us out and say, hey, this would be a really great topic to cover. So those are some of the things we'll be talking about. And then from a from a business point of view, again, we're very, very small. So we try to be out there on social media. We try to be as tech savvy as we can. But organizations like ours throughout the country some of them are starting to do their programs using an app. So right now we have our sessions, and then we send out like a summary of what we talked about and links and things like that. But a lot of organizations are doing apps now, so that it's kind of an interactive thing as they're in the sessions. And so we'll be contacting Grit and see how you can work with us, because it's a cool thing. Participants can post pictures right on the app, and then we can download those into social media. We could put all our notes on there, the agendas and things like that. So, so we're looking forward to that. And then our junior program, we're just looking forward to seeing how we can better help those youngsters. And we've got great success stories with the junior program. And I guess the bad thing about our program is we can't possibly measure everything that happens as a result of it. But we'll hear from people like, oh, when I went through the program, I met so-and-so, and now I'm on the board for this or that. One young man, though, and I tell this story all the time, but he was in one of our first junior classes. And he would always wear a suit. He was just one of those kids, very professional looking, wanted to be a politician. And he was very focused on being a politician. And so he job shadowed with, at the time, Paul Mitchell when he was still alive, Candace Miller when she was in her other role, a couple of the county commissioners, graduated from high school, went to Michigan State, worked for Pete Lucido. And then he wanted to have an internship at the White House. So he asked us if we would write a letter for him, a recommendation letter. So we did. And he ended up doing an internship at the White House for Vice President Vice President Pence at the time.
Really? Okay.
And so, so he was working with the Vice President's staff. And whenever they would come into town, he would call us and say, hey, Ms. Smith, do you want to meet the Vice President? So we got to meet the Vice President. We got to tour Air Force Two. We got to meet Ben Carson. And this young man now has just finished law school. And he reached out again. And so I sent his resume to some of the lawyers that work with us. And so we'll try to get him situated, and I'm sure he will be on the political track. So,
wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to cough again. All right. Let's so obviously there's been advancements in, technology, and as things you've seen over the years, especially in the last, 20-piece series, is there any some significant things or changes maybe you've seen across maybe a couple industries or maybe everything that you've kind of witnessed?
I think what we've witnessed that is still kind of mind-boggling to me is just the changes in manufacturing. So
what exactly in that?
When I first started with Leadership Macomb, our manufacturing session would include a tour of one of our manufacturing plants, and it was a dirty, grimy facility usually, and stereotypical.
Yeah.
And now we're going to these manufacturing facilities that are pristinely clean. A lot of it is like robotics and it's just so different. It's not your dad's manufacturing company anymore.
It's not your tool and die shop.
It's they're using robotics and they're using creative things, and so that is a significant change. And then each year we will usually tour a different high school to see their CTE programs, and that's also extremely interesting. And I'm so old. When I went to school, it was just, and I went to Catholic school, so it was like, okay, we'll teach you how to sew and how to cook. And that was it. Now these CTE programs are like, oh my God, Megatronics and this and that. And these kids are learning so much. And what's really cool is to see the passion that these instructors have for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And even woodworking and just so many opportunities available. And I think when we take our adult class through these different schools, they're amazed. They have no idea that this is even going on in our public schools.
I would 100% agree with that. Me being a father of two boys, we've been looking ahead, and some of the people that have some kids that are a little bit older, they're in elementary school and stuff. They're working with 3D printers right now.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it's crazy.
I think I had a box of crayons
at
that age.
Right.
These kids are working on a 3D printer and they're doing almost designing CAD work. I mean, it's amazing the advancements that you see on that end.
Yeah, it really is.
That I would agree that there's definitely been some significant advancements in there, and even where things are going with artificial intelligence, and that's always a big topic for people as far as what you're seeing there. I'm kind of curious because that's a topic that you just hear, but nobody really maybe fully understands quite yet what it's actually able to do. Have you guys had a specific topic on AI?
We have.
What are you guys talking about? And I'm just more or less I want to just gain some knowledge from you and what are you talking with your peers over there?
We have incorporated that into our session, and I think 2 years ago is when we first started.
Okay.
And what we're finding out from the kind of experts is that you have to embrace it, right? You have to embrace it. Don't be afraid of it. Mm-hmm. It's not going away. So how do you best utilize it, to your benefit?
Right.
But also to be aware of not relying on it, but using it as a tool. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like what we're seeing. We had a gentleman from United Wholesale Mortgage speak at our most recently about it and how they use it in their business. Mm-hmm. And everybody says you just have to embrace it. In the colleges, they are embracing it. It's part of their syllabus right now. So they have, you can use it for this or that. You can't use it for this. Be careful when using it for this. So everything is highlighted. So they're saying it's okay to use, but just use it as a tool, not as a crutch, I guess.
Yeah.
So
people are. You see reports on just, they're thinking some people still think it's kind of a fad idea, and 20 years ago they said the internet was a fad.
Exactly,
And I'm like, I fully see it going forward as a very integral part, and more of it's more machine learning than actual artificial intelligence from what I've seen. Mm-hmm. But I would 100% agree that it is definitely not going away, and if anything, it's time to really embrace that it's here to stay, which can be scary for some people.
Yes.
Have you seen any hesitation or division on that topic, or
no? Not on that. What we have seen though is, I think, just with the accessibility to information so easily available.
Yeah.
when people apply to go through our program, they sign a photo release and we have to get them onto some pretty secure sites. Like we go to Selfridge, we go to the Detroit Arsenal. So we have to get some identifying information from them. And I'm seeing a hesitation with some people that are not willing to do that, not willing to send a photo for our director, or not willing to sign a release or something like that. So that just happened this year with a couple of people.
Okay.
So, but then it all works out, because then we'll just have them work directly with the facility we're going to, so that we're not the keeper of the information. So, but yeah, that's some of the changes. The other, and just going back to one of your previous questions, though, the other thing is for people to go through a program like ours. Some people just are like, why am I going to do that? It's just wasting my time. I don't have time to do this. That's taken one day a month out of my already too busy schedule. I can't do it.
Okay.
People always use that as an excuse until they attend like their first session or two. And then they're like, I can't wait to come back next month. I can't wait to come back. Because they see the value in what they're learning, and in meeting the other people, both in the class and presenters and all that. Everybody that is a presenter for us, and these are all very highly knowledgeable experts, they are all willing to give their personal email addresses and everything to anybody, because they really truly do want to help and be a resource for these people. So I think that for some people it might seem like, oh, well, this is for business people. I work for a manufacturing company, so I don't need this. Everybody needs it, because it makes you a more valuable employee. It makes you a more valuable person, a more valuable community member. So what you learn isn't just all job focused or career focused, but it's community focused. So after you complete our program, you know so much more about not only all the businesses and all that, but just, a better person on maybe what you're going to vote for, or what you're not going to vote for, or who you're going to vote for, or how to make your voice be heard, or what areas need help. What areas can you help with personally? What can you use your talents for to help improve certain areas that you were exposed to throughout the program? So, that's one of the things that comes out all the time, is people say, oh, I thought, I wasn't going to learn anything, or I wasn't going to have the time, or this was going to be such a encroachment on my time, but I wish it wouldn't have ended. I want to go through it again, so that's the biggest compliment we get. Yeah. So.
Is it a one and done type of program, or do you have people come back at all, or is it?
We've had a couple people that have gone through it more than once, but they were like years in between. And it was, one gentleman was an elected official when he went through the first time, and then he was in the private sector like 15 years later, and he went through again. So totally different. We do offer, we have our requirement is that you attend 80% of the sessions. And then if you have to miss, because life happens, right? If you have to miss, you're invited to that session next year, the following year. But what people don't really take advantage of as much as I wish they would is that once you go through the program, you can come to any of our sessions again. So if you really liked Government Day, and 5 years from now, you want to say, hey, government's changed so much, I want to do that Government Day again. You're welcome to come free of charge. Just let us know so we have enough food for you. So, because we do feed our people really, really, really good. So.
Do you got a particular favorite place around here that you typically get from, or I'm just curious?
It's all about, we try to keep things local. It's our philosophy to just support as many local organizations as we can. So It's always a treat to introduce them to Gumbo's in Mount Clemens, because a lot of people haven't had Cajun food. So Gumbo's caters one of our day. We had some Thai food that everyone seems to like quite a bit. We've had Chaldean food. We've had you name it. We try to use as many different restaurants as we can. We partner with a lot of other nonprofits like Dutton Farms they make soap, and we give those to our as a thank you gift to our speakers and stuff. So we try to partner and keep things local and community focused as much as we can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I love supporting local small businesses. Definitely when I have the opportunity, or when we can. That's more of a personal level. Me and my family, we always try to do that when we definitely can. So obviously we've been working with you guys, for a little bit, and
Yes.
I kind of want to get, since you are here and sit down with us, a little bit of just perspective. I know when we initially, things you were working with, current IT, company that, at the time. I'd love to hear just kind of about your experience with us a little bit, since you are in the hot seat, and we are partners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you mind maybe just telling us, and just where were things before, where are, and then maybe when you saw some of the initial changes, and where are things today?
So we, as a very small nonprofit, we have to be able to do a lot of things kind of good, and we're not, because everything is spread across me and my coworker. So IT is always one of those things that scares people, and it scared us. And
it can be scary.
Oh my goodness, yes. And it's just out of my wheelhouse. And so we had a company that we were using, but it was always, the first IT company we used when I started there, they told me a lot of stuff and ended up where they didn't secure a lot of our information, and our website was hacked, and it was a nightmare, and they didn't take any responsibility. So that was a huge learning curve for me. That was like 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So then we switched to a different company, and they were fine, but they never were very available for us. We're just there's just two of us. I mean, if we have an issue, we need to get it, we can't call IT.
Right.
So they were okay, but they weren't as responsive as I would hope or as I would need. And they didn't do a good job of saying, hey, you need this, this, and this. They didn't do that. So
surprisingly that we hear that quite a bit.
Yeah.
The responsiveness, or just the proactiveness of, hey, in 6 months or even a year, or even 2 years out, it might make sense to have a conversation about upgrading this piece, or there's a new update that we need to do, that type of stuff. I'm surprised how frequent I hear that.
Yeah. So when we switched over to Grit, it was amazing, because the customer service is through the roof. So we not only get issues resolved quickly, very quickly, quicker than we ever had, but we also have, and I think the thing that was missing from the other companies, we have a proactive approach with you guys. So Grit, we meet with them and they say, hey, you need to worry about this. You don't need to worry about this. You need to worry about this. You have enough security here. And it's just this whole kind of checklist that they went through with us at the beginning that no one had ever taken the time to do before. And so, and we get reports on, spam emails and reports on all these other things that really kind of document that they're doing their job, and so that we can review it and see if we need to add anything or take anything away in the future. We just move locations, and that can be a real nightmare. It has in the past been a real nightmare for IT, because it's like, what part is that, you're pulling
the plug over here,
and
you gotta get it somehow over the other side.
Yep. And Grit was amazing for that whole process. I mean, they came to us before the move to make sure they knew where everything was and what we needed to move and where. They went to the new location, and it was the smoothest move we've ever had. So it was, I cannot say how happy I am with Grit. The people here are wonderful. They have a great sense of humor, which is important to me. And they answer calls, and they are so knowledgeable. And if for some reason something can't be fixed immediately, they'll let you know why and when it will be fixed. And they've been a true pleasure to work with. So I think it's important.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. We work hard to be customer service first and then an IT company second. Mm-hmm. And so hearing everything about that, just your experience on that really does showcase that, the team is doing the job,
Yeah.
I get to sit kind of off on the other side of things. I'm not in the trenches necessarily like I used to be, when I first started here, but hearing that, it come full circle, where we initiate, contact with you guys, got you guys set up, you guys have followed the process, there's that continual improvement and just that checkup, that's happening, all that, it's wonderful to hear. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are happy and
I think that the leadership here is amazing, and I think that when you have leadership that's passionate about what they do and how they do it, it just reflects in the whole organization. So
yeah, I would 100% agree with that. That's actually one of the biggest things that led me to work here was not just the idea of the company and the direction they're moving, but just how the leadership trickles down, and that it's not just a bunch of us here that have some good IT knowledge and trying to make it work. We don't, as we like to say, we don't like to reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. There's a right process and procedure to everything, even internally using like an ITIL framework, which is a operational framework for how a service company like this manages. We follow that pretty stringently to just frameworks like cybersecurity out of the National Institute of Science and Technology, seeing all of that, and they're even part of other peer groups. They're part of Leadership Macomb. They are part of bigger networking groups of companies similar to what we do across the United States, not competing companies, of course. I think there's something about what you initially said about the characteristics of successful people and leaders of they're kind, but they're also leaving their ego at the door. You won't believe the ego in the IT world.
Oh, really?
There's some people that think they know it all and they want to be the hot shot and the go-to guy. There's definitely a presence of humility and saying, I don't have all the answers, but we're going to find out. Yeah. And you said having an open mind, earlier. That's definitely one thing that I've seen here too, is that they're very open to embrace change and to just because we did it this way before doesn't mean it's the right way to do it, this time and so forth. So I can definitely attest that the leadership here is really, they're open to, they want to be successful, but they're definitely a team mindset that's behind this.
And what I love about the relationship with Britt too is the fact that I can call and say, oh, like I was telling you earlier, oh, these leadership organizations are testing out this app, and what do you think about that? And I'll get an honest answer, or if they don't know, they'll say, let me look into it for you. So it's a very, very much of a partnership. So I really appreciate that too, just being able to ask them and never feeling like it's a stupid question or anything like that. And that's, your industry is changing faster than any other, I'm thinking, because there's so many things going on.
You don't believe it.
And and just the fact that, you're able to proactively help us so that our information is safe and we can be as efficient and effective as possible is it's one less thing I have to worry about.
Yeah, you definitely said it. It's definitely changing. It's rapidly changing. That can be scary for some people. I will tell you that it goes back to that team, because if it's one person trying to manage a bunch of accounts, it's just not going to happen. I literally learn something new every single day, and it can be somebody from the service desk side of things to somebody in our leadership team to somebody even in our accounting side. It's just technology is changing almost too fast, I would argue, to some respect. And people ask me all the time, how are you on top of this? How are you staying in that? I'm like, literally, you just got to come in and go, what's new today? And buckle up, because it's definitely right. But it keeps things exciting. I will say it's definitely never a dull moment around these four walls.
I bet.
Let me ask you kind of a personal question. So you've been devoting 17 years of your life so far to this. What keeps driving you every single day to show up and put your best foot forward?
That's an excellent question, because when I did all of my education while I was working full time. So I did all my undergraduate degree, my master's degree was all part-time while working full-time. And when I was younger, I had some bosses that weren't probably the nicest people and didn't treat me the best. And one in particular would tell me, there's two types of people in this world. There's people like me, and there's people like you that work for people like me. And you're never going to amount to anything.
Really?
Yes. And that always like stuck in the back of my mind. And, you know, if you look at what we do, it's a job. We're not curing cancer. We're not, you know, building spaceships to go to the moon. We're not, you know, authoring world peace. We're running a leadership program. But I think it's important what we're doing. And I think that the difference we're making is important. So I enjoy seeing that transformation and that difference we're making, as little as it is. And it's, you know, we're just affecting this little tiny piece of our world, but it's important to me. And it's so cool when you see some of these stories that result of people just increasing their knowledge, increasing their connections. And that's what keeps me doing this, because there's always opportunities to help someone. Always, always, always opportunities. I have the best staff in the whole world. We get along. We're like family, and that helps me to, you know, come to work every day as well. And when you have those things, when you have the passion, when you have the people you're working with that you know, just click with, then it's not even a job. It's just, you know, it's just doing what you love.
Yeah. Well, I would 100% agree with that. So I wouldn't believe it's a small thing. I definitely believe it's a big thing. When you are taking people that have a desire to be leaders within their own community, their own business, and giving them opportunities or a platform basically to excel and to grow their knowledge base. I think it's a very big fundamental thing, and I think we need more of that, especially in their community. So absolutely. I'd like to kind of start landing the plane, you know, in our conversation here a little bit. We kind of talked about what's kind of maybe coming up next, you know, in the community, you know, what's next in the program. What do you think is maybe one or a couple things off the top of your head are some important things as we move into new year, new administration, you know, all of that? What are maybe some important things that you think every business leader needs to maybe be a part of, or, you know, some things of knowledge that they need to understand as you guys move into next year?
I think one of the things that is important is we're a 501c3 nonprofit. So we rely very, very heavily on donations and the generosity of our sponsors. And we are lucky to have sponsors that have supported us for years and years and years. Our junior program, though, it's not a tuition-based program. It's free. We charge a small application fee, but it's very costly to put on. And so we're always looking for ways to raise money to support that program, because we don't ever want money to be an issue for these kids going through our program, and it never has been, thank God. But we're always looking for donations and ways to kind of diversify our revenue sources. So that's one of the things we're looking at going into next year. Maybe there's ways we can partner with other organizations or something like that. I think that people are intrinsically good people and want to help out, but I caution that when people are giving to different charities, that they research them, because there's a lot of charities out there that really aren't following their mission, that aren't using the money. Yes. That there's sites like GuideStar, Charity Navigator that you can check on. They should have a board of directors. They should have, meeting minutes and budgets and mission statements and metrics. They should have metrics. So that's kind of my soapbox, because I see a lot of, even locally here, there's some organizations that are like, how are they getting all this money? They're not doing anything. They're not affecting change. Right. So that's something. And then I think that going forward, it's important for us to we're just trying to figure out how we can continue to grow and affect more people. So we're always recruiting for people to be in our classes each year. Our applications are on our website for both the junior and the adult program. And then we're also looking for ways that we might be able to partner with other organizations just to help, again, to diversify our revenue source and expand our reach. So a few years ago, we were able to partner with the U.S. government, and we did a customized program for the Detroit Arsenal. So they wanted a program for 25 people that were relocating here, and they wanted it customized to what those people would be interested in learning about education, local government, all that stuff.
Okay.
So we were able to do a program for them. And what happened is we're like, oh, this is great. It was wonderful for us. But what happened is those 25 people that were in that class, it was a condensed version. They all wanted to sign up for the full thing because they're like, we like this. So there's ways for us to customize our program too that I think a lot of people don't know that we can do. We're doing, we have one of the sessions in our course is a poverty simulation where it's kind of a role playing based on a real life situation. And it puts the participants in the role of people that are struggling, that are just at the poverty line. And they go through this exercise where they have to role play a family that's based on a real life family and navigate. The room is set up so that there's a school, employment office, grocery store, church, and they have to navigate the room to make sure their kids are being fed, their bills are being paid, they have a job, blah, blah, blah. And it's like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour simulation. And by the time the participants are done, they are exhausted. And it really gives them a really good feel of what some of these people have to face, not only for 2.5 hours, but for maybe months or years of their life. And so we're trying to also offer that to other groups. I know that the Macomb County judges were interested in going through that. Some elected officials were interested in going through that.
Oh, really?
So we're trying to figure out, we're partnering with Macomb Community College to offer it to their senior education class. So we're just always trying to find ways to just broaden our reach but staying in our mission of educating people and making those connections. So lots of exciting things on the horizon.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad to be a part of it too. So
thank you.
We're happy to definitely be a part of that mission. Anywhere we can help grow leadership within our own community, that's and obviously grow business and connections. It's always a good thing. So we're happy to be part of it. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for your time and for coming in. I had a great conversation with you, and yeah, I just wish you guys all the best and excited to see what happens.
Thank you. And we appreciate your partnership and your support, and we couldn't do it without organizations like you. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Absolutely, no problem. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time in the next episode.